Hello, my name is John McCurdy, and I channel soul. In these messages, I channel my own soul. When people come to me and ask for personal channels, I, along with my soul, channel their soul so that they can have a conversation with their own soul. If you're interested in that, all the information is on my website at johnmccurdy.com. So, we have a special message today. Not sure what it's going to be, but that's the nature of channeling. Even when it's my own soul, it's me, it's my essence. It still comes through, from a different part of me. A part that the human isn't so much in touch with. Well, it is more and more. But at the human level, my soul has been talking to me about different things. So let's find out together what she has to say. Oh, I say she because lately that's how it feels to me. Soul doesn't really have a gender. For a while, my soul came through as Master John. That was to signify the mastery of a human connected with soul. Now she comes through as Master Anna to signify the blending together, the reunion, you could say, of the masculine and feminine. Because you see, whether you are in a male body or a female body, you're still a whole being. You are, in your core, you are both masculine and feminine. We have this interesting game on Earth of pretending to be separate from our souls and separate, masculine and feminine. But it's just a game. Who you are is a whole being, much, much bigger, for lack of a better word, than the human that you're mostly aware of. So, I'm going to breathe for a moment and see what Master Anna has to say today. I am that I am. Master Anna of magical service. Oh, indeed I am. John's soul. John's divinity. I am the allness of John. I am all that John is. I include this human that is speaking these words for me. I include many, many, many other humans that are living in different places on your timescape. Indeed, they're not here in your present human time. But human time is an illusion. So these other dear humans that come from me, that are part of me, they're living out lives. You call them past lives, or in some cases, maybe even future lives. They're all happening right now. They're in different parts of your timescape. But from my perspective, outside of the human illusion of time, they're all happening right now. And this dear one that you see on your screen right now, whose voice you hear, he has a special place. Oh, they're all special. But this one has the honor of being the one to bring this long journey to conclusion. This is the one who, it's my final lifetime as a human. And he has the privilege and indeed the challenge of bringing it all back together. Of becoming aware more and more of me, of all of our other parts and pieces, and of being the one through whom the words don't really work, but feel the essence of what we're saying, of being the one through whom all of me comes back together. No, so many of you who are attracted to these messages are going through the same process. You also are what has been called the designated ascendee. The one, you've heard of ascended masters. They're simply the ones who, after many lifetimes on earth, they found their enlightenment. They came to this place. They had their realization of who they are. They came to the completion of their journey. And at that point, for most of them, the consciousness of Earth wasn't ready for that level of consciousness to exist. And so it was much too difficult to stay, so they simply left. Sometimes they died a normal death. Sometimes they disintegrated in a ball of fire and came home to their soul, to their Oh, to their true home. This human, it's not your home. This is not who you are. It's not even where you belong except for this experience. Oh, it's been an incredible journey. These ascended masters, some of them, they simply disappeared or went out in a ball of flame, and so they were called ascended. Like they somehow ascended up to heaven or something like that, because that's the concepts that human had at that time. But that's all an ascended master is, someone who has come to this point in their journey. But now, the consciousness of Earth, of humanity, is very different than it was back then. And so there is a large group of people who are in the same place. In their final lifetime, they are the designated ascendees. They are the ones who are bringing it all together. And some of them are doing it a little bit different. Because the consciousness of Earth is different. And it is possible now. It's difficult, but it's possible to step out of the game and still play in it. It's a challenge, a big challenge. But that's what we are doing, John and I. And that's what so many of you are doing. Now, many in this group, quite a few thousand. We won't get into trying to count them. But many in this group, have left. They had enough. They chose to simply leave, to die. In human terms, but there is no death. There's just the dropping of the body and the transition back to your true home. That's all death is. It's a beautiful thing. It is indeed a lot easier than being born on Earth. And a lot more fun. Except for those around you who are, they're stuck in the human illusion. They think you're gone. But you can actually be closer to them than ever if they let you. Most of them don't. But there's a whole group of us who are doing this different. Instead of leaving, we're staying here. We're stepping out of this playground you call mass consciousness. But we're doing it in a way where even as we disconnect from it and are no longer bound by it, we can still play within it for a time, however long we want. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And yet it is. It's the most incredible journey that has ever been taken. Coming home to you while remaining in the game in a certain sense. But you are changing the very nature of you. You are changing the very nature of your body. In our recent class called Divinity and Experience, we talked a lot about patterns. We're going to talk about a lot more about patterns in our upcoming continuation of that class called I Am Divinity. We're going to talk about what it means to be divinity walking on earth. Oh, it's a grand experience. And for a while at least, it's quite challenging. So we talked about patterns. You see this thing, you call it mass consciousness. It's just a pattern. We've called it a template. A template is just a pattern upon which you overlay your life. You see, you are a creator. If you're here, you already know that. You are the creator of your life. The human goes, oh, how do I do that? How do I do that? It's not quite how it works. You create your life according to patterns. Because that's what shapes reality, patterns. They've also been called belief systems or habits of thought, ways you think that you're not even aware that you think. Expectations, they're all patterns. And so you have this master pattern called mass consciousness. It was created long, long ago. It has evolved and evolved since. We've talked about that in other messages. We won't go into it here, but it's just a template. It's a pattern. And you, dear creator, you recreate your life in every single moment of your existence. You imagine it. That's all life is. It's, you could say it's your soul's imagination. And in every moment you are recreating everything about you. You look at your body as solid, something that lasts for a number of years. You look around you, the things in your life, they seem solid. They seem like, many of them seem like they last much longer. They're just patterns. And you recreate them in every single moment. You create them with your observation of them. So if that's true, well, obviously, you can recreate anything about your life anytime you want to. But here's where it gets tricky, because, well, first of all, you're so used to creating according to this pattern of mass consciousness. And all the little patterns that you've overlaid on top of it. And so the mind goes, oh, well, if I'm creating my life in every moment, I can just create this or that to solve this or that problem. And there's the catch. The mind doesn't know how to be present in the moment. And the moment is where everything happens. The mind is designed to look into the future or into the past. It looks to the past for the patterns to continue creating going forward. Oh, many of those patterns were not so much fun, and it's terrified of them. Wants desperately to create something new, but it wants it so much that that's all it can see, and so it creates more of that. The mind looks into the future, and all it can see are the memories from the past, and its projections of what those mean going forward. And so it sees all the dangers, all the things in the way, all the problems that it thinks are going to be there in your future. So the mind focuses on those because that's all it knows how to do. And because of that, it creates more of those. And it just keeps going and going and going. So the solution is to come back to now. Now is not a time. It's not even a point in time. Now is an awareness. An awareness of your soul. You see, I exist outside of time, beyond time. The human words are very challenging to get these concepts through, but John's doing an excellent job. But feel the essence of what we mean. I exist in the now moment. The now moment is everything. It includes all of time. And it's way beyond time. And it's also right here. You see, the now moment is the only place that a pattern can be changed. The human, it sees those patterns. In particular, it sees the ones it doesn't like, and it says, I want to get rid of those. And it sees the ones it does like and says, I want more of those, or I don't want to lose that. That because your creation responds to the mind's focus, you create more of those. That's why we talk so much about letting go of the battles. Because every time you fight something, it has your full attention and you're just creating more of that. You think it's the other person's fault. You think they did something to you. But here's the thing. There is no being in all of creation who has any access at all to you or to your energy. None whatsoever, and you don't have access to theirs. That's why we have this playground called mass consciousness. It's a template by which you can create, according to a pattern, a common experience, but it's still your creation. Oh, you can hear, we call it the song of other souls, and they can hear the song of you and your soul. And so, like your multiplayer computer games that send a signal across the internet so that all these different players around the world can share an experience, that's exactly what mass consciousness is. It's a game whereby you create your reality according to the pattern of mass consciousness, but also according to the patterns that you hear in all of these songs from all of these other beings. You can't touch them. They cannot touch you. You cannot take their energy, and they cannot take yours, ever, no matter what. And it's really important to be clear on that. No one ever can touch your energy or take your energy or take anything from you. Ever. However, within this game, you create avatars that represent these others. They're parts of you. They're your energy acting out the song that you hear from this other being. So, within the game, these avatars can come to you, and they can act out, taking your energy. It's really just you taking your own energy, but it's still, it creates this very real experience because you believe it. You see it as that other person rather than as your own creation, your own avatar. And that goes back in your song to them. And they continue to act it out. And you can point a gun at them and shoot them. And they'll believe that it's real. And so the avatar that they have created of you within their imagination will point this imaginary gun at them and shoot them. And they'll believe it. They'll die. They'll drop this particular part of the game, this particular avatar that they are acting out. And then they'll come back and create a new one, mostly according to all the same patterns. Maybe in creating the new one, they'll bring in a few different ones, different patterns, but mostly it's all the same. And so you go from lifetime to lifetime believing that it's all real, that you are actually interacting with these other people. In a way you are, but they have no power over you, but you believe they do. Because it's such a brilliant creation, this mass consciousness. It feels so real, and so you experience it as real. But it's just a pattern within your own energy. When you see that, that's when you can stop the battles. That's when you can stop protecting yourself. The human is so dedicated to protecting itself. That's all it knows how to do. What the human doesn't realize is that that pattern of protecting itself actually creates the very things that it's trying to protect itself from. Some of our classes we've called the mind the great anti-creator, because it almost always creates exactly the opposite of what it thinks it wants. Because, you see a problem, you say you want a solution, but all of your attention is on that problem. You see a danger, you want to protect yourself from it, but all of your attention is on that danger. So you create that. Very often, the creation comes to you in ways you didn't expect, and so you don't even make the connection. But it's still there. It's still simply recreating the very things you don't want in your life. The same patterns over and over and over and over again, and they do not end when you die. They continue. Most people, when they die, they hang out in the other realms for a short time, wondering what happened, and suddenly they're sucked back into a new body. And they bring all those old patterns with them, and they live out another lifetime very similar to the last one. Probably even within the same family, the same bloodline. That's the only reason that bloodline has any significance at all for humans, is because you keep coming back into it. So the solution to patterns is to come back to now. Patterns are about the future and the past. This template of mass consciousness, it's mostly about the past and the future. That's a new one for John. Oh, he thinks, but we've known it for a while. Mass consciousness is a pattern that is mostly about the past and the future. It's about the past because you obviously want to recreate the patterns from the past as you go forward, so that you have something constant or continuous to play in. You see, time is the same as space. In order to play a game, you have to have space to play it. You also have to have time within which to play it. So in mass consciousness, you have these patterns of space, what you call physicality, and you also have patterns of time. Patterns from the past that you carry into the future. Sometimes with very small modifications, but mostly you just carry them forward. So come back to now. In the now moment, you have your soul. You can't have your soul in the past or the future. Simply not there. Because your soul is here, now. Your divinity is here, now. It's not in the past or the future. They don't even exist. They were temporary imaginations. Now is where you exist. And now is where you can go beyond your patterns. But it's a challenge because the human says, well, but what about this or that that's coming up tomorrow? How do I pay my rent? How do I get love into my life? How do I solve these problems in my body? Well, you can do like most humans and continue battling those things. And yes, seeking love is also a battle. One of the biggest battles. And that comes from the very moment that you entered into this game. You left home, you can say. It's a poor metaphor, but it's the closest we have. You left home. You asked yourself this question, who am I? And suddenly there was this mirror image in front of you. It was you. And it looked in your eyes, and you looked in its eyes. And it said, oh, dear one, I'm going to go out. And I'm going to find every way that I can to show you who we are, who I am, who you are. We are one and the same. But we will imagine for a time. We will imagine this separation. I will go out and I will live all of these experiences. And you will collect them and distill them so that I, together, can see and feel and know who I am. That's why you're here. So you went out. You created all these patterns and you had all these grand experiences. Difficult, challenging experiences, beautiful experiences, every kind of experience you can imagine. You've had it. Now you're here. Now you're coming back together. Now you're looking once again in the eyes of you, of your soul, of yourself. You're going, I am. That I am. There aren't any words to define who you are. But you realize that you are all of it. The good, the bad, the light, the dark, the beautiful, the ugly. Even the power games. the poverty and the richness. The powerful master and the helpless slave. Oh, all of these things you've experienced. And they are all a part of who you are. And now you know. And as you know, as you look, and feel the eyes of your own soul, now you know. And now, in this we're overwhelming John a little bit. And now you know, in this now moment, see this mirror image of you in your imagination. Just see it there. Imagine it there. It's simply, it's like looking in the mirror, but it's more than that. Reach out your arms. Give it a hug. Allow. Allow this hug to be more than a hug. Allow your essence to blend into this other essence of you. Oh. Have no fear. Nothing is going to be lost in this blending together. Oh, you've waited for it. You've longed for it for so long. Now you're back in that moment of asking yourself, who am I? You thought it was such a long journey. But it was a moment. And oh, such a rich and full moment. Now, feel yourself. This whole being. The soul, the human, all the humans, all the experiences. There's no longer any difference. It's all you. There's no longer any need to protect yourself from anything. Because now, nothing can touch you. There's no need to seek love. Because you have the love you were always searching for. You thought it was in someone else. I was here all the time. It was you. And now you have it. Allow the blending. Allow you. Allow the knowing and the wisdom from all of these experiences. It's all here. Every bit of it is here. Nothing is lost. Allow the knowing. Allow the completion. Now, allow your attention to come back to this precious human, this dear human, who's in this lifetime of completion. It's living within this pattern of mass consciousness and of so many built up patterns and beliefs. And it's in the process of letting all of those things go. But instead of just leaving, you said, I want to play in these patterns a little bit more, but from a place of full knowing, from a place of freedom, of choice, being able to experience the things I like within the pattern, and not having to experience the things I don't like. Now you have that freedom. But you also have within this human, you have a lot of old habits, patterns. And you're slowly, gently, although it doesn't feel so gentle all the time, you are releasing those patterns. It's not up to the human to do that. It's you, the soul, doing that. You're not fighting with them. You're not kicking them out. Human tries to do that, but it doesn't work. So you, the soul, you're hugging them. You're drawing them into this beautiful embrace of all that you are. You're simply allowing them to come home too. All of these patterns, they're parts of you. They're creations of you. And now it's time for them to come home too. That's what you're doing now. The human thinks in terms of releasing patterns and integrating patterns and getting out of patterns, and mostly it's all a big battle. Let it go. Come home. You see, home is not out there, not anymore. Home is right here. You could say it's in your heart. It's really in your soul. It's everything you are. It's everything you see around you. That's home. But mostly, home is now. Come back to now. In this now moment. It might look like everything in our life has fallen apart and tomorrow you're going to be dead. But there's still now. And in this now moment, everything is okay. Maybe there's pain in your body. Maybe there's people upset with you. But in this very now moment, everything's okay. Be with that. The human wants to plan everything out. That's about the future and the past. Instead, be now. As you step forward, allow each step to be a discovery. That's where you find creation. It's in the discovery of the now moment. Because that's where your soul is. The real creator here is not you, the human. The real creator is you, the soul. The soul only exists in the now moment. As long as you, the human, are running off into the future trying to figure it all out, you're not home. You can't feel your soul. Your soul can't create for you because you're not home. So come home. Come home to you, to this now moment. Come home to this incredible hug and blending of you with you. And discover what that means. Just be with that. Just be with you. Things in your life will change. Your body is changing. Your body is the ultimate pattern. It is the ultimate expression of mass consciousness. So it's changing. Even while you're still inhabiting it, it's changing. Keep wondering where your light body is. Well, it's right here. It's what holds your body in place. It keeps all these energies. It shapes them together in this thing called the body. And that's changing. If you are going through this process, you are no longer a human. But you're still freaking out when the human body doesn't respond the way it's supposed to, or the way it used to. So let it go. Yes, it's a death, it's a dying process. Let it go. Because you're doing something different this time. You're not just dropping it and leaving. You're changing it. The human parts are dying away. being replaced with something, oh, something incredible. Allow yourself to discover what that means. And if you want to dive deeply into that, you might consider joining our class called I Am Divinity. It's on the website. There will be a link in the description of this video. And wherever it is posted. But, this is what it's about. I am divinity. This is about self, reuniting with self. It is indeed the most incredible journey that has ever been taken. No, you don't need to take a class. You don't need to join a group to get through this. But sometimes it helps to see how other people are going through it and to just talk about it with people who know what you're talking about. So, more than anything else, allow this reunion and blending of you, the original you, coming all the way back to that grand question of who am I? And now, the answer is blending with the question. That's what you're doing. The divinity is blending with the human, with the experiencer. Let it happen. Imagine it happening. It's real. Your imagination is real. And so it is.